Well folks, welcome to the latest video. As you can see, we've just bought something on eBay. So here it is. This is the world's first $10 Hamilton. So I guess in this video what we're going to do is do a teardown of this and highlight some of the problems. You can see there the winder's clearly broken and there's bits missing off the engraving. And then if you look at the watch itself, it's got a whole load of problems there. The balance is broken, but that's kind of expected really. But you've got a nice intact regulator there. And there's also some missing jewels too, which I need to do something about. Well, I don't think we'll bother too much with the niceties, but I think this dial is probably on the way. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we'll probably need to replace that. It's a whole lot of fun to keep it, in my opinion, but it doesn't make for a nice looking watch. So, as you can see there, the spring barrel top, I'm not sure if that's the correct barrel actually, because it's a bit prominent, but probably is. There's actually not any fault with that itself, but it is loose. And if you can, I'll just maybe see if I can show you this. Okay, so just here, see there, and just there, got two broken screws. So look at the edge of the movement there. The third broken case screw, and I think if we look there, we've got a completely missing jewel just there, and I'm going to go further round and we can see there, just here, there's another snapped off screw. So I'll try to address that a little bit and see what happens. So this spring barrel probably will just lift out because it's that's your dust cover off. There you go, that's your spring barrel. So it looks to me like the click and the spring is still in there, so we haven't lost those. And then the ratchet wheel was on there, the ratchet wheel's still on there as well. So we'll check whether that's got a spring inside later on. That's very, very interesting. Let me just focus that. I've never done a Hamilton before, so it looks pretty okay inside actually. We'll see how that works out. One of the things was that this is like a $10 watch, and I couldn't see from the eBay photos whether these parts were plated or maybe just steel or rusty or whatever, because the way the guy had taken the photo, there were reflections which, I mean, you can see what my hand there is just adding colour. There were reflections I couldn't really see. So it actually looks like there's two of the gold screws left, and this intact regulator, which I think is the gold weight or gold watt regulator, that in itself was probably worth more than $10. So that's one of the reasons why I bought it. It's probably because we can probably sell that. So these screws, they are matching plated. They're not actually made of gold, but looks like there's a mechanism underneath the regulator for adjusting it, and I think you can see there just on the end there, yep, there's like a screw with a knurled nut, and you've probably also got this arm here which you can probably also, probably shouldn't use that actually, but so looking at this, it looks like we definitely have a broken lower pivot, and just here we seem to have an intact roller jewel. That's always good because they're hard to find. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on the plate just for now because I don't want to lose the screws. Another gold screw. So it seems I was hoping that when we took off the balance just here, there would be another gold screw underneath, but there isn't, so I've only got two, which is a bit of a shame because I don't think they're particularly easy to find really. Just one though. So now we're at a position where we should be able to get that off. So what you've got to do is get your screwdriver, and if you can see that, just underneath there, and just tap away a bit at the fork. And what that does is it stops the fork from catching on the lower balance mount and breaking, because you don't want to break it. Okay, so there's the fork. So you need to flick the top plate to stop the fork getting caught. But it doesn't look like it's chipped, which is a good thing. So we can see just in there that somebody has flicked the spring, and this, what you see here, this is left hand threaded pinion, and it's called the safety pinion, and you can see the patent for it just on the top there. So this safety pinion, when you accidentally release the spring without powering it down slowly using the winder, it bangs that left hand thread and releases that pinion there. So that's not actually broken, it will go back on. The next problem is this here. This is a case screw, which is one of the screws we mentioned earlier, which has been snapped off. I'm going to try and unscrew it with the pliers. So I actually thought this would slip through the hole, but it actually still has a little bit of a top on it, and it's enough to stop it coming out. So putting the pliers onto the side of the screw and turning the side of the screw between the two plates, and then that screw can then be unscrewed and then be lifted off. So now we can separate the two plates, which we couldn't do before. You can see just there how stuck oil has stopped that coming out of the pivot. Quite astonishing. It's no wonder it wasn't working. So that's still got the cannon pinion attached. So it looks to me like all of the dial screws are still in there. There's the back of the dial. So it is a bit of a shame that it's not in better condition than that. Quite a bit of character, you know. I mean, if this was from a plane crash in World War II, you'd be thinking, wow, that's a real story. I'd leave that on there. But unfortunately, it's not. So now we can see the works for the hour wheel. That's still free. So that won't come off on its own. So I need some cannon pinion pliers. Oh, boy, that's on tight. Okay, so you should always be careful with these cannon pinion wheels because they're quite a hard steel and it's easy to damage the teeth. The fact that that won't come off just by doing that just shows you how well machined this Hamilton is. It's not at all slack. So what you have here, this is the lever set mechanism. So this is the mechanism, you pull it out to set the hands on the watch and then you push it back in again. That should be a bit more springy than that really, but it looks intact. Everything seems to be there, you know, there doesn't seem to be anything missing. If I turn that anti-clockwise, it should, you can see it's going down there. And then it stops. So that's essentially your safety pinion. This is a pinion and this is a wheel, right? And that has a left-hand thread on it. And if you just see, if you take it off again, there you can see just at the base. See just at the base there. See the little thread? It's left-hand thread. So that's your safety pinion. So that protects your watch if your spring goes releases when it shouldn't, which someone had obviously done on this watch. Okay, it is hard to see, but if I put a torch behind it, you can just see that is actually a central hole jewel there. So this must be a 17 jewel watch then, or a 21 jewel watch. I'll have to have a look at that. Couple more problems here. See just there, and there we appear to have sheared off screws. So that's another 2 sheared off screws. That one's stuck, so we've got a stuck one. Wow, they are well stuck. I'm not surprised this watch wasn't working. So that actually is one of the hallmarks of old-fashioned non-synthetic oil, because they leave a residue. So there's a good chance this watch hasn't run for quite a lot of years. And synthetic oils came out in the 80s, so it could be quite a long time since this was actually running. So the actual springs, I don't see a lot of mileage in taking those off, so I generally leave those on. And we have a clicker just there, which I'll probably take that off as well, I think. Whoa. As our watch plate's pretty well taken off. Everything's on there is still the springs. So I'll just give a quick check now and see what the jewels are like. And then we might go to clean it up, maybe. So one trick that I have learned over a while is that when you see a busted screw like that, it's not necessarily stuck. So you can sometimes put the tweezers in there and you can see that's moving. So in this particular case, I think we might be able to just unwind that. I don't know if I can do the whole thing on video, but you get the general idea, right? So there you go. You can see that it is now starting to come out. And depth of field is very shallow, so it's very hard to do. You can see it's coming out just by unwinding it with the tweezers. Okay, if you didn't believe it, there's the proof. I was going to use alum crystals, but I don't think I need to now, do I? And one of the other ones is also about to come off pretty easily. So there's the other one. So this is the last one, and it's not moving. So possibly another technique needed. Okay, so we've put some pliers on it and just turned it, and it is coming off. There you go. I'm going to do that off camera. The last two are these ones here, and I'm just going to use the plier technique just to turn them, really, to get them off, and I'll show you when it's done. Okay, as you can see there, they came off pretty easily. You do wonder why a single watch had so many broken screws on it. There must be some heavy-handed beefcake out there who's just snapping screws off left, right and centre. That is wacky, especially an expensive watch like a Hamilton. Anyway, they are now off. Yeah, that's a total of 6 broken screws, all of which came out pretty easily, I have to say. Okay, so looking at the top plate here, we have a completely missing jewel here. she's just not there. It needs to be sorted out. And then we have just here, I think the bottom jewel's got a broken hole jewel. And just here, this one here for the fork is cracked right across, but it's still intact, so I'll probably sell that out as well, I would think. That's the missing one. You can see a remnant of the missing one's jewel just sitting on the surface there. Well, that's the fork jewel, which is actually got a big crack in it. You can just see it there in the video. Quite hard to see, mind you. So, in order to push these out, there you go. I actually have a half round punch, which stops the centre of the jewel getting pushed on and cracking. It's out. There you go, that's the cap jewel. Still a bit dirty, but not damaged. That's your hole jewel, which does have a crack across it, so I might need to get a replacement for that. Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking was that these look a lot like Waltham screws. So Waltham on the left, Hamilton on the right. So the heads are deeper, but the threads look the same. They're very slightly longer, but probably not enough to make that much of a difference. So we can probably refurbish this watch with Waltham screws. After looking at the Waltham screws, I took a quick look at Elgin. The Waltham screws actually very slightly narrower diameter, and they wouldn't fit flush without a gap. But the Elgin screws, absolutely perfect. And I haven't polished the head yet or anything like that, so. But we've got a way forwards, which is always a good thing. To complete the final bit of the Hamilton teardown, we've got this. Just here, there are two screws. Now I think that if you remove those, what will happen is there's a specially shaped chock, which is kind of different to a Waltham, which should allow the balance wheel to be removed from the whole assembly. In fact, I don't think that it's necessary to actually remove it. I think you just need to loosen it off. Just keep that in focus there. So this staff is already broken, so don't worry about that. So there you go. So this piece here, it's like the shape of a thread bobbin, and it kind of slots into the balance cork, and then the two screws I just took out there will tighten down on it and hold it in place. But that shows probably that is the original spring, because it's got the Hamilton mount pressed onto it, as opposed to it being one that somebody's chucked in there, so to speak. So that gives an illustration of the actual mount. The thread bobbin part fits into there. Okay, so I'm going to remove the spring first. So what I'm going to do is just loosen that enough so that when you lift this, it doesn't go flying across the room. And then if you see that, you see just the end of that, see how much play there is in that. That's quite a lot of play. I don't know if that's normal or what, but anyway, to dismantle it, you just need to wind it out. I'm going to do it that way around because I'm right-handed. So the knurled wheel on this isn't in great condition. It's got a lot of burrs and notchiness on it, so that'll have to be addressed, I would think. And so your little part there, that will just lift off. And then we've got the two screws there. The jewel is cracked, unfortunately. Right, folks, I just want to point out that if I get this in focus, there, just here and just here, someone has done some, let's say, customization to the balance cock, and that's another reason why I've decided to use this as a parts watch now. So the jewel in the top plate, so we come back, so this jewel here, which you can see from the base is missing. So to replace one of those from Sites is $50 just for that, and then you need two balance jewels, which is $20 each, and then a balance cock, which is probably around about $20. So by the time, and then you've got damage to this, and there's no guarantee that the roller table on that, the actual balance staff doesn't look correct, and the roller table doesn't fit properly, which kind of tells you that too. No guarantee the roller table is actually right either. So there you go, folks. That concludes the Hamilton teardown. Thanks very much for watching. There you go, folks. That brings the Hamilton teardown to a final conclusion. Thanks very much for watching, folks. Bye.